Park Recreation Department. Again, my name is Susan Reyna. I'm from Beacon Therapeutic. Beacon Therapeutic is a non-for-profit social service agency located in the Beverly area. I'm going to put up where we're located. We have 4 different locations. We have our administrative offices that are on 103rd. We have our homeless services that are on Western Avenue. We have our Calumet Park campus that houses our high school and junior high school. And we have our Longwood campus. We do operate a myriad of programs. We have our little intensive outpatient program and our big intensive outpatient program that's providing developmentally appropriate day treatment services for children who need additional specialized care outside of their traditional homeschool type program. It can either be viewed as a step-down program or as a program to keep children from going into a more restrictive setting. We also have outpatient mental health services. We have PATH programs and homeless outreach services programs where we're working with families and children who are homeless within the city of Chicago in order to help stabilize them and help them find housing. We also have a therapeutic day school that works with children ages K through 12, and it serves as an alternative to specialized education schools when they exceed their capacity within their local home school. We also have a CHIP program that enrolls children into public aid and Medicaid services. And then we offer some other specialized services, most notably our FACT program, where we're one of 4 programs that remain throughout the country that's working with young children, young families, both impacting the families that are homeless as well as the system in which they operate out of. Today, I'm particularly happy because we have Jonathan Shaw with us, who is the director at Calumet Park of the Park Recreational Department in Calumet Park. I said that a little bit twisted, sorry. Jonathan, who I will call John, is here today to tell us about some of the work that's going on. This is a live call-in show, so please feel free to give us a call. The number is 312-738-1060. So for the next 30 minutes, you'll be hearing about the collaborative relationship that Beacon has with Calumet Park. But welcome, Jonathan. Thank you for being with me today. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. My background is I started working for the Recreation Department 6 years ago. Funny story, I just started as outdoor maintenance, cutting grass, and then 6 years later, they kept me as the Director of Recreation. So it's been an awesome journey. And I'm a product of the community. I grew up in Calumet Park, born and raised. And it's been fun seeing young children develop. Our partnership with Beacon Therapeutic, which is very developmental to the community. And I'm glad to be here.
I'm actually going to put your contact information on. One of the things that I know we're particularly happy about is that I know you were our commencement speaker. So tell me a little bit about how you found that experience.
Well, that was a great opportunity. Working with these children year-round for 6 years, and not only in a supervisory capacity, but just as an employee watching them develop, and then later on being able to give their commencement address, that was profound. And one of the main themes of the speech was, don't give up on your dreams. No matter how wayward your situation may seem, there's always opportunity for you somewhere, and it's important that you hold on to your dreams and take it from there.
And I think what you're describing were your evolution from cutting grass to the position you sit in now really is quite a success story. So tell me, what are some of the services that are offered at the Recreational Center?
Well, we offer a wide array of services. We break it down into 3 specific groups. One is basic, where you have drop-in programs, you have no registration, then you have your advanced and your special portions of recreation. So they range from high school open gym, grammar school open gym, line dancing, soon to be Zumba, karate.
Oh, Zumba's always good.
Yes, it is. So it runs the gamut from what we offer, and also in terms of age groups and your gender. And of course, we are always ADA accessible, so we believe everybody should have a chance to play.
And are there fees for these services?
We break those fees down into 2 select groups. One is free and the other is affordable. We try not to overcharge our residents and our citizens because we're glad they use the facility in the first place. And if we are charging for a program, there's usually no more than a $5 difference if you want to do, say, a basketball program or things of that nature.
And then what are the hours of the park? And then this is the address, right, on here, over here. On
Yes,
Loomis,
ma'am.
right? That's the address, yeah.
Yeah, that address is actually the location of our rec center, which houses the department. And the question again? I'm sorry.
No, I was wondering, what are the hours of the rec center's open?
Right. Our hours range from Monday to Sunday, so we're open 7 days a week, and we start every day at 7 o'clock and we close at 9. So there's never a dull opportunity at the rec center to come and have fun.
What I could imagine with all that activity going in and out, it must be both very hectic. What keeps you motivated?
What keeps me motivated is not knowing what's next. It's all a part of the adventure. You can start out creating a program, and then weeks later, someone comes to you and says, hey, this is successful, why don't we branch it off into something else? So that can be very hectic, but it can also be very influential into what it is you're trying to do. So not knowing what's next is always the fun part of the adventure.
Are there some particular success stories that you'd like to share?
Yes. Working at the department, not only as a director, but working there as the employee for a few years, always seeing the employees graduate from high school, then college, and then developing on in their career jobs. One person in particular who was my mentor, her name is Nicole Hudson, and she married, so she's now Mrs. Wilmington. She worked there for 16 years, started when she was 14 years old, and now she's a social services worker at the hospital in Oak Forest. So that's a success story. And, her children are now working for the department. So
that's so cool. Neat. That is really neat. I'm going to put some pictures of our kids up. So tell me a little bit about how do you work with Beacon?
Well, our partnership with Beacon is twofold. One, they provide recreation, and the other, they provide employment opportunities. So we value our partnership with them when it comes to both services, and especially the employment because, one of those workers are on the visual right now.
Oh, really?
The one to the left is Isaac. And he's worked with our program for about 2 to 3 years. And seeing him develop was really nice because he started off not knowing what exactly entails the rec department, but he really grew, and I believe he's well qualified for any job he applies for.
God, that's wonderful. What are some of the jobs that they do when they're at the rec center?
Well, it starts off with just maintenance, and then they can go into volunteering. We've had one student recently who's working for the department. Now he wants to volunteer for our Halloween program, which is huge for Calumet Park. So it's really exciting seeing them start, mopping floors and sweeping, and then it gradually goes into event preparation and volunteering.
Gotcha. And then tell me a little bit about the community in which the rec center sits. So it's Calumet Park. Can you give me some statistics about the community?
Yes. Calumet Park, 10,000 less people, population, of 10,000 or less. It's a really unique situation. You have a smaller community, but they still need recreation and services. So what we do for Calumet Park residents is we make sure we offer affordable programming, that we are open later, that we are open early, and we cater to the metro crowd, as we say, people getting off work at 5 or 6 o'clock. So that's really important.
Yeah, and I would imagine with that diverse kind of population and those hours, you are always looking for different partners and so on. And, in this climate right now where everybody's looking at partnering with other entities, who are some of the other folks that you work with, other organizations that you work with?
Yes, you can't do it alone. What we like to focus on is partnerships within the community, whether that's the local churches like Community Covenant Church or the school district 132, which is our grammar school, and our high school district, which is CHSD 218. We have a myriad of programs where Community Covenant Church, they bring their high school teenagers in there on Sundays and they play basketball. And then with SD 132, we actually had a baseball program structured for the first time in 10 years. And 90 kids stayed through the entire program, and it was excellent to see that. And then with the high school, they have actually come in free of charge and started a tutoring program in our rec center. So some pretty exciting things going on.
And then do you have volunteers then? I mean, how can folks help? For the tutoring program, I was interested, do you take volunteers from the community to help with the tutoring?
Yes, we do. We say, don't ask, just come on in and see where you fit in. We love volunteers. We need people to come out, support our programs, but more importantly, support the youth. That's the purpose of the rec center. We want to see more volunteers in the future.
I think, when what's so nice about sports and those kinds, or just athletics and so on, those kinds of activities, everybody can find something that they can do well at. And I would imagine that's important for the kids' self-esteem and those kinds of things. I mean, what are your thoughts on something like that?
It's very important. And that folds into what we're trying to do now. We have a new program called Active Recreation. So the big draw of the rec center, of course, in Calumet Park is basketball. But seeing the challenges that some kids face later on when they go through basketball, not being on a team, a high school team or college. We're trying to offer newer sports that they might not be involved in or are exposed to. So soccer, volleyball, dodgeball. We try to increase the ability and availability of different sports to kids who might not like to play basketball or are teased at playing basketball.
That's true. And how have the kids received some of these newer sports? I'm going to put some of the pictures up for the kids again. How have the kids received some of these different sports like soccer?
Well, the Calumet Park kids and the Beacon kids have really taken to it. For Beacon, their biggest sport, of course, is basketball as well. But we've incorporated volleyball, and they've taken to it, and the kids in the community have taken to it. And that's important for a rec center, not only to offer one sport, but to offer varieties of sports. That way they can be more exposed and better equipped when they go to high school.
And that's a picture of the gym over there by you.
Yeah.
And I know that what's wonderful for Beacon is that I know we're able to host basketball games. We're part of a league, and I don't know how often we do it now, but I know in the past we've been able to host the visiting team to come in and play, which is fun because the kids get an experience of what it's like to be a high school basketball team, and they have the bleachers and so on. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges?
Well, the biggest challenges for Calumet Park or for Beacon?
For Beacon, in terms of our work with you.
The biggest challenge is making sure the kids are orderly, but the teachers do a good job of that. But the biggest challenge in terms of the structure is, will these kids have a chance when they leave that school? Are they getting the best possible experience when they come to our recreation center? It's a partnership, and we should be able to help make that partnership a reality in terms of job creation, making sure youth development is always in the mix, and just making sure they have a good time, but are also learning something at the same.
Where would you like to see things evolve to in terms of this relationship? Because I think the employment opportunities are so important for our youth. Where would you like to see things evolve?
Well, I would like to see things evolve in terms of the employment program, maybe adding on 4 workers instead of just 1 or 2 at a time. I believe the more kids are exposed to employment opportunities, the better they are equipped to actually go get a job. And whether that job is entry level, in my circumstances, entry levels can lead to much greater things. So just give them the opportunity and let them take care of it. And I think that's what I would like to see about 2 to 4 years from now.
Yeah, that's great. And how much do you share your story with the kids? Because again, just the thought of, you were hired, and I forget, were you hired to cut grass or you were volunteering?
I was volunteering at first,
okay.
And I wasn't cutting grass because that would have been against the law, but I was volunteering with the basketball program. And then I wanted to apply for a job. I was just out of high school, and I started cutting grass. And then 3 years later, I became the supervisor. A year later, the mayor asked me to serve on the Board of Recreation. And then when my boss, Mr. Frank Snow, retired, I was appointed as Director of Recreation. So it's been kind of a fast pace within 6 years, but nothing I couldn't handle. And I was very appreciative of Mayor Denson for allowing me to have that opportunity.
And during that time, you got your degree.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's important. Where did you get your degree from?
Chicago State University in political science. So.
Okay. And where do you see yourself going in the next, let's say, 5 years, 6 years?
Well, they say politicians are always coy. They don't want to tell people what their ambitions are. But I would like to go into elective office. When I was growing up, before my grandfather passed away, he was a Cook County commissioner. And one thing he always tried to impart to me was public service is very important for what you would like to do in terms of helping the community, being a strong leader, but also making sure that you're meeting the needs for the future. And I would like to go into public service more sometime.
That's one. So we were joking before. We're going to save this because when you do become big and famous, we're going to say we had you on the show before. But I think for us, what's so important is that when we look at role models for our youth, and really that is so important for kids to see, regular folks that have done well and have been able to succeed. And that's clearly something that you've been able to do in terms of, have your vision and have your, focus on what you want to do. And now you're impacting so many lives. How do you find that the kids relate to you?
Well, first, before I get to that, I just want to say that my success has not always been my own. It's never going to be my own. I thank my mother, I thank my father, and all the people that have been in my life to put me in a place where I am today. I am very thankful and appreciative. As for the kids, it's important that they see, I don't want to call myself a role model, but it's important they see positive people in their life. And in the African American community, it's positive to see a young black male in period, to have a position of authority, but also a position of compassion, somebody who's able to help them when they become older. You know, we have some kids on the basketball team at the rec center, and I see some of them becoming future employees one day. It's important that they see somebody is well enough and capable of, you know, leading them as their future employer.
No, that's actually, it's a very solid recommendation. I like the fact that you added compassionate, because that is important. And it made me think of senior services.
Yes.
So what kind of senior services do the rec center offer?
Well, I'm not going to lie. The senior services are lacking. But now, since I've taken over, I would like to take a more in-depth focus in bringing senior programs to the Recreation Center. And not just call them senior programs outright because it may stigmatize people, but make sure they have something to do as well, because our morning programs they need to be updated, and there are always something to do for our seniors, and besides seniors vote. So
that's true. I'm also thinking, and you know, again, collaborative opportunities. You know, with our kids being able to help maybe develop some of those senior services, because our kids are there too. So you know, maybe developing that relationship further, where maybe we can help you, with run some of those senior programs. I know some of our kids, you mentioned work opportunities or just volunteer opportunities. I would imagine that would be important as well.
Well, that is. We're looking to set up a bingo night for seniors, and it would be nice to see if the Beacon students could come up with an idea to formulate, and it'll be really easy to run either in the morning when they're at school, and I think that would be a great opportunity for them as well to see if they can create programs and be successful for our seniors in the community.
God, that'd be great. I'd like to remind everyone this is a live call-in show. The number is located on the bottom of your screen. It's 312-738-1060. My name is Susan Reyna. I'm from Beacon Therapeutic, and I'm here today with Jonathan Shaw, who's the director of the Calumet Park Recreational Center. Beacon has been fortunate enough to have a relationship with the Calumet Park Rec Center since we've been actually in Calumet Park, I think in maybe the early 2000, I think. And it's ideal for us. It's been a great relationship because the rec center sits right on the other side of the parking lot.
Right.
And it's a big incentive for our kids to be able to go over there. And it's a beautiful facility. I'm going to put actually a picture of it up again. This is the gym, which is great because I think it's a great experience for the kids, both in terms of obviously basketball, but the other sports that you were just saying. Right. Apparently we have a call. Yes?
Yes, hi. I would like to know what the greater community could do to help, enhance this partnership for the kids at Beacon Therapeutic as well as the Cal Park Red Center.
And it's a good question. I think both, we're often in need of sports supplies that we can bring over to the gym. So donations of sporting equipment probably would be ideal. But also I think volunteers would be helpful in terms of, helping maybe coaching for our kids, coaching or supporting them in some way. I think that would be helpful. Also, at the very end of the show, I'll talk a little bit about an upcoming fundraiser that we have. But what would be some of your thoughts, John, in terms of how the community can help?
And, it all goes back to volunteering. You brought up a good point. I think if you want to see something successful, don't always look to be paid for it, but pay it forward. You need to come out and volunteer and, help assist some of the programs, because usually when we run a program at the Rec Center or at Beacon, for example, you may only have one person who's paid to do that job, and it's very stressful. But if you do have volunteers, a core of dedicated people, it can make that program run much smoother. And people, when they see you volunteer, it says to them, well, if they can do it without pay, maybe I can try to do it, down the line.
I'm wondering, with finances being so tight and so on, are you having to make difficult decisions in terms of what programs you can continue to operate, or that's when the volunteers come in?
Yeah, you do. In this position, you have to make difficult choices, I'm as sure as in yours as well. In order to offset some of the costs involved with creating programs, we sometimes have to reduce hours or shutter a program. But we don't look forward to making tough decisions as we are to making solutions. And our solutions is partnerships. It is remaining viable within the community and trying to become a one-stop shop, if you will, for different ideas and different activities and events.
The way I see the school is located, the church is on the other side, and then the rec center. Right. It really is kind of a nice collaborative opportunity where everybody can work together, and the space is ideal, which is and we're 2 blocks away roughly from the mayor's office.
That's true. The Village Hall.
Yeah, the Village Hall, which I think is really, really helpful. What other thoughts you have on our show today, or other comments or so that you have?
Well, I think this is a great opportunity to showcase the partnership between your school and our village, and I would like to make sure that it continues. It's a positive relationship. You know, in so many other communities, you don't want to mention names, but there are antagonistic forces between different entities, whether it's the school district or the church system or the village hall. But in Calumet Park, we don't have that problem because everybody works together. The school district works with the rec department. The rec department works with Beacon, and Beacon works with the village. When you have a village that works together and it's not working against itself, you have greater results. And I think that is very positive for the citizens of Calumet Park to see and to feel.
No, that you bring up an excellent point, because I think we've been very mindful of trying to be very respectful of the community, as well as trying to be very sensitive to, you know, our children that come into the school. They have different types of challenges, and I think it's something that we've really worked very hard trying to develop a good rapport with the village, of course with the rec center, and then the school district, of course. You know, our high school has about anywhere from 90 to 95 kids, give or take. And that's a lot of children we're bringing in. But I think there's been a positive relationship where we've been able to make sure that the school continues to operate. Otherwise, it'd be a shuttered school, which isn't good. The church operates in there as well. But being able to utilize the rec center during your downtime, during the day. So I think it has been a productive relationship back and forth, which is good, and which we're very grateful for. So I'm grateful that you're there, and I'm grateful you will be there as well. And I know Mr. Snow had been there for a very long time.
Right.
Prior to, do you know how long he'd been there or no?
He worked there for 16 years as well.
Oh my! So that is a long time.
So he had a very valued interest. And when you speak to that point, I want to mention Dr. Gross, an unsung hero. Dr. Gross, Miss Patterson, people like Mr. Rivers, they all work so well with these kids, and they take their time, and they have a very focused interest in these children to make sure they succeed.
Oh, thank you for mentioning. That's the principal, Dr. Gross. And then some of the other staff, which I think one of the things that we're very mindful of is ensuring that there's proper supervision when the children go there, and really making sure that when children are there, they're appropriate, they're mindful of what they need to be doing, and responding very quickly when there is something that goes awry, because inevitably it can go awry. But we deeply value that relationship. And I think we've been able to utilize some of the other community resources as well. You mentioned the employment, and that's something that we're always looking for, new employment sites for our kids. Clearly your location is the most ideal because you're so close. But we've developed relationships with other community folks. You know, the McDonald's, I think there's a motel that's not too far, a couple of restaurants. And that's something that we're always looking for, is new employment opportunities for our kids, because how else are they going to be able to get that kind of experience?
That's true.
You know, the one gentleman that you pointed out a little bit ago, you're feeling that, you know, he can be ready to take a job anywhere else.
Correct.
And what are some of the skills you feel that they learn through working at the rec center?
Well, they learn punctuality. They learn detail. They learn how to follow through on the job. At the rec department, you know, that wages tend to be from minimum wage to about $12 an hour. But I never believe that what a person makes is what they're worth. They put in what they get out what they put in. So they learn punctuality, they learn detail, how to follow through on a job, and they also learn how to be focused. Staying focused is a key to keeping your job. So they learn a few other skills too, but those are pretty important for what they learn.
And I know there's a job coach that works with them or checks in on them as well, and it's depending on where they are. So do you have job coaches at the site with our kids?
Yes, we do. Her name is Vicki Gordon. She's my #1 supervisor.
Okay.
And we work with Miss Patterson. So she's also one of the unsung heroes that I mentioned. So they do a good job making sure that these kids stay focused.
Well, thank you very much, John. It's really been a pleasure having you on board, and I'm eager to see how you're going to progress in your career and all the great work you're going to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Guerrero. I appreciate it. I'm sorry, not doctor, but Ms.
Susan
Guerrero.
is fine. I'm going to put some information on an upcoming event that we have. I know we're running out of time. We do have our 21st annual holiday supper. It's June 6th. If for more information, you can contact Peggy Rourke at 773-298-6441. It's a great event. I hope you will make it, John.
Yes, I will.
It is a fun time, and we will see everyone again next week. Thank you again. And,
Thank you for having me.
Have a nice evening, everyone. Good night.
Goodbye.